Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. It is 4:43 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. This is your friend and neighbor, David Null, Hawkeye Two Feathers. And I am doing this video because I'm hoping that the sounds that I'm hearing will maybe show up on, show up on the audio, or maybe some of these vibrations. But so many of you that have watched any of my previous videos or know who I am, I thank you so very much. I thank you very much. I greet you with blessings and hope and honesty and truth. And honestly, today, right now, I was watching an old episode of X-Files, pondering the question of time bubbles, because from my little position here in my chair in my house and watching the moon and everything, I was sitting here earlier and the moon was in the window, and I referenced my position here because as an observer, as a scientist, as a amateur astronomer, I noticed the moon in my little window of my observation, and it looked higher than last night and I gauge by a finger, because I sit here and I go, okay, one finger, two fingers kind of thing, in position, and because of where I see the moon in my window. And I was shocked to find that the moon was higher than it was a day or so ago. And I was like, well, that's curious, because I had been discussing how much since Sunday of last week, or this week anyway, this past Sunday, that I had to lean over to look up to see the moon. And so I've discussed this with Brian and Milky Way Weekly and some other folks and their observations. And we had discussed on Wednesday evening the fact that had I noticed, or anyone else noticed, the fact that it seemed like the face on the moon was moving. And I was like, yes, I have noticed that. And Brian even stated something to the effect that there are times when it seems like the moon just stops. And I'm like, yeah. Well, tonight or this morning, and in my previous videos and things, and my subject has been, are we in a time bubble? Is my little place down here where I live, have I created my own little time bubble to the rest of the world? I know this is all fantastical, but my digital clocks are all still off. My Roku box, which should match this computer, is an hour and 6 minutes difference. My digital phone and all of these things all go through the same phone line. This thing is off. Wait, the Roku's off an hour and 2 minutes. This is off an hour and 6 minutes. But neither of them match my battery powered clock that I refuse to change in the spring. These are all facts. I've showed the thing. Anyway, so whatever weirdness is going on, I've created my own little weirdness down here, something strange. But I was awakened I fell asleep during the episode of X-Files. And I'm like, well, this is weird. And it had nothing to do with what I woke up to. I woke up to my laying on my side, which is normal, but through the pillow and through the couch and the floor, I could feel a vibration. And somehow where I located my house, I built my house myself, and I found the spot. I wandered all over the property and I wanted it here. Well, somehow in picking this place, and I used divining rods too anyway, it seems that my house sits in the ground, on the ground, and I've used the dirt from here to mix the concrete for my floor. Now, I'm the house is picking up vibrations. It always has, and it's somehow I've I have telephone poles that are sunk down in the earth that support the middle of my house. So they're a couple of feet down in the ground. So when a truck goes by up on the road, which is more than a football field away in length from where the house is to the road, it'll literally make the windows rattle sometimes. But I can go outside and not hear it. Milky Way. I filmed the moon tonight, and it definitely moves southerly. Absolutely. I'm sitting here after waking up after having a strange dream, and I come to look, and where the moon was earlier this evening, it's dropped in the sky. It's gone way south. Oh my goodness. And it was facing just a little off to my right. Now the dang thing is almost sideways to face. And that's been since about 2 o'clock. So that's been in the last, 2 o'clock my time or their time? 2 o'clock my time. And it's almost 4 o'clock on my clock, which is almost 5 o'clock. So roughly in 2.5 hours or so, the moon moved from a higher position from 2 nights ago when you and I were speaking. It moved back up in the sky, but at the, hey, Wade, how you doing? Early morning for all of us, eh? I'm telling you, I'm feeling vibrations in the house through my feet. There is a low rumble going on right now. I went outside with my bare feet, and I can just barely hear it. It's a low rumble that isn't ceasing. In my house, because I was describing how I built my house, that somehow the house, how it sits at the bottom of this hill and how I placed the telephone poles in the ground, it, I live in 3 time zones. Yeah, I do. it, mine, theirs, and ours. But what is so really, 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 really strange, I can still hear it. It's a really low rumble. And for 30 minutes, I'm like, man, I don't know. And then finally, I just decided I'm going to turn this damn thing on because I feel like in certain ways I'm going back crap cray cray over here by myself, And I'm like, no, I can feel it through my feet. I mean, yeah, I'm sensitive and this, that, and the other thing. And yeah, I'm crazy, but this is plumb weird. Usually if a truck goes by, you can hear the rumble and it only lasts a couple of seconds. This has been going on for 30 minutes or longer. I can hear it. It's a real low rumble. I went outside and I can hear it, and it seems like it's coming from everywhere. It doesn't seem like it's that way or this way. At first, I thought maybe it was like a thunderstorm in the distance. First thing I did, check the radar on 2 of the local stations where there's a high cirrus cloud kind of thing covering the moon. However, there are no thunderstorms. There isn't any lightning. There isn't anything external that could be creating this. I turned the fans off in the house. And the only other thing that's running, which makes any noise, is the refrigerator. And I know what that sounds like. And it doesn't make the floor vibrate. So I thought maybe that it was the sound of the fan. It'll make sometimes some odd noise. Fans off, refrigerator is on, but it's the compressor isn't running. So any noise that could even be weirdly connected, it still exists when I turn everything off. So it's like, from my point of view, sitting down here at the bottom of my hill where I am, if a big tractor goes by pulling a trailer or something, I can really feel it through my feet. But it's almost like there's a train going by, almost in a rhythmic pattern. Now, that was a loud thump. But there's nothing on the road. I mean, I live way out in the country, and farmers go by in the daytime. It's early morning, but there's nobody up on the road. I would be able to see the lights. There would be an associated noise with what I feel in the house. It's going dun 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 dun. It's almost got a rhythm to it. But it's still going on. And so I've been on for almost 12 minutes, and it was going on I went outside for 10 minutes and did all these things. So for almost 40 minutes now. I woke up a little after 4 o'clock on the computer, and now it's 4:54. So now in the past, there are some very large mining corporations about 12 miles to the southwest of me. And on a clear night in the wintertime, you can hear those things running. But I have to go outside to hear them running. It's too far away for the house or me to feel it on the ground. But I can hear the machinery running. In the wintertime, there are several cotton gins, I don't know, within about 6 or 7 miles. And when they're running full tilt in the middle of the night on a clear night, when all the leaves are gone off the trees and things in December, you can hear those factories running. However, this is the middle of summer. There aren't any types of machinery like that running at this time. Oil dries too far south, and when the leaves get on the trees in the springtime, it muffles the sound. And again, the oil dry, where they do all the mining, and they make kitty litter there basically, and oil dry. That's their name of the company. But I don't feel the vibrations in the house or on the floor. It's still there. It's very faint, but it's still there. And it's a thumping in the ground. I don't know if it'll pick up on the mic, but I'm being quiet on purpose here. At first, I thought it was coming out of the woods kind of thing, which would be over the river. And I live towards the bottom of one hill. Then there's almost a half a mile of swampy wetland, and then there's a clay hill on the other side. So I live almost in a valley. Country folk call them a holler. Now, nowhere near like the hollers up in the mountains where you are, Milky, but we still get the same type of thing, an echoing effect, if you will. It sounds like machinery running if it were me being around machinery. I mean, I used to work at a cotton gin in the wintertime, and cotton gins still, they're only running several months out of the year, so everything's always part-time work. I don't know if it's tunneling. Because I have telephone posts stuck down in the ground in the center of my house, it's almost like they work like tuning forks. And the way my second story is, and I've made it out of tin and so forth. Anyway, hey, Miss Phoebe, it's almost like the sound, it travels up the telephone poles, and then it's almost like my house is a speaker. And But whatever this noise is, it sounds airborne. And I think it's simply because my house is sensitive because of the way I constructed the darn thing, that it picks up really small vibrations in the earth, and I can feel it in the floor. My floor is concrete in the ground. But the noise that I hear, because I can hear it outside, I'm now just outside my house, 3 feet away over here. I can't feel it through my feet, but I can hear this low machinery kind of tone thing. Here in the house, it's being amplified, and I can feel it in my feet. The sound is louder. Like I said, my house acts like an amplifier to noises like that. Hi, peeps. Howdy, Phoebe Murphy. David Even. Hello, Milky and Wade. I'm not seeing. Knowledge Seeker. Hello. Hi, everybody. You get vibrations here as well. Usually a disaster follows within 2 days. I hear that stuff as well. This is strange to me because usually I get vibrations, but it's still going on. And I know going outside isn't going to do any good because I've already done that. That was the first thing I did, was go outside because I thought maybe it was a thunderstorm nearby or looking for, lightning in the sky. Nothing like that. Everything's clear down here right now. We had a thunderstorm earlier. Good morning, Knowledge. Blessings to you all. I don't know what this is. And it's just it's kind of weird. Y'all are up at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So is there something in the Schumann? Is what I'm picking up the Schumann? Because this, if I try to go over to it right now and look, somebody, if you can, go over and look and see. BP Earthwatch has got a Schumann. Mr. MBB 333 has got a connection to the Schumann. If I try to do anything, this little computer will shut off. But the biggest thing is that I also noticed, and so did Milky, the moon moved in a 2-hour period. I mean, it like really sunk down in the south. When I get up, I always well, the moon was just right there. And now I can't even see it through my windows. I had to go outside and look, and the moon is way down. Oh, the Schumann detector is down? Oh, that ain't that a coinky dink? I mean, just saying. But the focus, it seems like there's just so much energy. And Wayne Steiger did a video I watched earlier today. He did it within the last 2 days, posted it up, and about how the magnetic field lines and everything around the earth and how they've been changing. And he did it from 2014, 15, 16, 17, and now in the month of June, and what the changes have been. And I'm aware of these things. I don't look at them every day, but I am aware enough to know that, yeah, things are fluxing and etc. So, but the fact that they are fluttering so much and so close to the earth now, and we're getting plasma coming in, I mean, like between us and the moon for sure, and between us and the satellites even. So, we're getting cosmic bombardment for sure. It's slacked off some. I can barely hear it. But it'll do a little spike every once in a while. It'll like be just sort of a hum, 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 hum at fairly regular beat. and then it'll go like thump, hum, hum. Oh wait, the Schumann spiking is spiking right now. How about that? Are all of us feeling this mess at the moment? Anyone getting instant tired? Yeah, I did earlier. I mean, I was up, was thinking maybe doing part 2 of the alien interview, and I went from having fresh coffee and getting ready to do a midnighter or something, and the next thing I know, I was out on the couch. Bam, and now it was like I could hear the thumping and through my pillow in the couch and the floor, and it was like amplifying it through the pillow, and I was like, holy! It woke me up. Something's going on. My ringing just got a bit louder. Go live tonight is in like on Friday night, Milky. I'm good. I don't have anything planned. Phoebe, what do you mean you dove for about 6 hours? You mean like dove down sleep thing? Slept right through the grandkids coming in. Yes. Okay. We'll do it, Milky. Just give me a call or whatever. Did you get my little email about men with hats? I'm sorry. When you brought that up, I I don't know why it tickles me. You could be there as my cheerleader. Thank you. Any cheering is approved. Yeah, I'm gonna have. I've got like, I don't know, 12 or 15 hats. You've been feeling energized too, Brian. I've had many, many experiences with feeling vibrations. I think all of us are. And knowledge, I remember you being on here before, but not if I've had asked you any questions. So I want to ask you this question. Have you ever had any type of head trauma? It's pertinent to the whole discussion. Isn't this weird? All of us having this and something just prompted me and said, go turn on the damn computer and just talk about it. All y'all are awake and wondering how many others. You've not had any head trauma. Okay. This is the reason I say this. There are several people who've had head trauma, and I do believe that there is a connection, because those of us who have been hit hard enough, our brain has had to repair itself. And I think somehow in the brain knowing how to repair itself and reconnecting neurons and things, that it has made us in a way a little more extrasensory or more sensitive, I'll say. And each one could affect us, have affected us differently, but there seems to be a commonality with the folks that I've discussed about head trauma, and that our empathy has increased. Maybe a psi ability of some type, empathy, whatever, has increased. Our feelings, like the Schumann resonance and other types of things, has increased. And so this is just a hypothesis, but I've had 25 serious brain concussions, I'm still in the process of rewiring, Phoebe, you just got smarter in the repair. I didn't want to bring up your name, but yes, that you and I have discussed this. And that's what I'm saying. Our energies are so smart. And I did a 2-hour long live Facebook thing to friends and neighbors, trying to explain what Milky and I just started discussing about energies and what I read the other day from what I found in this notebook. And I have since had an opportunity to go back over it with a little more meditation. And I realized that, it's really simple, but it's in there, So, but during that, I was having some revelations myself as to what this energy means. Yes, we are all powerful. we are um, we are angels, period. Let's just call it simple. We are angels. We are is bees, as the galactics call spirits like that. And so the fact that we have this internal knowledge already when we're born in this plane, so we have this internal knowledge that is us, that as ourselves being angels, and to some would say that we are gods, but I stay away from that topic. However, being an angel is good enough, right, in my opinion. But the fact that all angels have the ability to create or to heal or whatever at some point anyway, so depending on what you believe, but so we all possess this knowledge. So now that all this extra energy is in there, I, for one, have, my brain's head is still repairing itself. Wow, Mickey, this is weird. They just keep tossing me back. We are here for something. Absolutely. And that's why I got online. I was like, I know it's 5 o'clock in the morning, Eastern Daylight Time. And I'm like, I know I get on in the middle of the night sometimes, but this was like, get up, go turn on your computer. I'm like, okay. And, we're still caught in full moon. It's only been a little over 24 hours for the full moon. So we're still caught in that mess. And not that it's bad or good. It's just we're high energy, right? But strange that we're all here, I got fresh coffee. I just can't share it with you, I made coffee and then fell asleep, And when I went outside and came back in, I noticed the red light over in the corner in the kitchen. I went, oh, coffee pot's on. Good, But anyway, you charge your crystals? Yeah, mine are always kind of sitting in the window. So I don't really have to take them out per se. But it seems like the house this evening is very much highly charged. I mean, I wear this one here particular crystal a lot, and my goodness, I had to take it off. It hollered at me and said, take me off there, gosh sakes, I need a rest. But it was full moon too, so. But I've had this off for almost a day now, because it was just simply literally hollering at me. Take me out, put me over there. But I can still feel the energy. I know where it is. It's like a location device, I have so many crystals that some of them I use. I say use. I ask them I call it, hey, will you go for a ride with me? Meaning, maybe I'm going to sit here and do a video or work in the yard, whatever it is, or maybe even ride into town. And so some crystals, I will know that if it'll just be a feeling. I'll come over here and grab this crystal here. Can you see it decently? And of course, each crystal is strong or whatever. And but I can hear them calling me like, here, you need me to go with you. Or, if my energy is low in a particular way, I just, some crystals, they're like, not me, not today. And then other ones will go almost jump in my hand. And like this one, I wasn't expecting to pick this one up, but it was, lying right here on the table beside the computer. And it was like, pick me up, use me, please, So for all the craziness, though, that I can, I put this in my left hand and I can feel it come out of the floor. Wow, that's strange. And, it's like I've been handling crystals for going on 40 years. This is not anything new for me. But what's going on now is definitely new. I mean, like sitting here right now and having the tingly feeling come up through the balls of my feet, up my arm, and through this crystal right now. It feels good, but it's still at the same point a little on the creepy side because it's a new thing, you know. So I'm sure that I have held a crystal before and felt the energy, but the timing of this, the you know, whatever sounds coming off the earth right now, it sounds like machinery, but the ground is just kind of humming. But there's no, I live a long way away. There's no machinery around me. Sue brought you a crystal back that she charged in the day before to rock. Wow, that must be interesting. Hey, Miss Marie, good morning, everybody. What type of crystal is it, Dave? It's mostly clear quartz. This one came out of Arkansas. This is from the Arkansas mountains down around Mount Ida in Arkansas, where I've been several times and mined crystals from. This crystal here is a cluster, and it has some coloring that runs through it. It's like a rust color. Now, for as much as it's been chipped right here and broken off, many of these facets are still good. But I've found that even though a crystal may be chipped, the energy and the life force within it is still viable. So you can see from this one that, you know, there's a crystal here, there's one there, there's one here, there's one there, there's one back up here. And that the bottom of this is where it was literally ripped off of the rock. This is part of the parent where it was growing in the ground. These are from North Georgia, Carolina, Sapphire Valley, right up in the corner up there. That's where these come from. And I've mined my own crystals, and I've got hold that thought, y'all. I gotta just step right behind myself here. Just hang on a second. I got something I really want to show you. Hang on. Hold that thought. I'll give you an idea of how much I'm into crystals. This is smoky quartz. It's heavy. This is like several $100s worth of crystal. This came out, I believe, South America, Brazil, something. A friend of mine him and his father were gem hunters. And I mean, the light really doesn't do it justice. But this is smoky quartz. This is one giant crystal cluster. It's huge. I mean, you can tell. Whoop, don't want to drop it. But yeah, I've got a few crystals. You got to put it down. And while I'm over here, might as well pick up my other ones. Do a little crystal show here. These are, this was a set like this. And I got this out of North Carolina. I'll remember the name. Um, anyway, but it was one big piece, and they literally cut it in fourths, in four pieces. So they were selling these as bookends in the store up there in North Carolina, up in the mountains. And it was near a talc mine. So we almost got permission to go in. And what they would do is they literally blasting the side of this mountain off up there. And I'm trying to remember the river. There's a river up there that everybody goes canoeing down and kayaking, and there's a little rapid section in there. I think it's North Carolina, or is it Tennessee? Wow, I'll have to look on the map. But anyway, the mine is right there where most folks put in, and to go back down the river to the thing. And at one of the junctions of the road there, now this has been several years ago. I'm assuming some of this stuff is still there, but I used to go up there like every other month or something to get rocks and collect things. I've been gold panning many times and found gold up there in them mountains. Not much, but found it. And so I'm trying to remember the name of these. I always forget the purple rocks, the name of them. But anyway, so this was one great big giant cluster. And they blew the side of the mountain off. And when they did, it opened up a cavern. And inside was all these beautiful, beautiful crystals. And as one great big chunk. Now imagine this times two, because these flat sides over here were the rest of this crystal set. And my brother bought them. So I got one set, he got the other, but between us, we had this whole mound of crystal that came out of the side of that mountain up there. Let's see, if you go up to Murphy, North Carolina, man, why can't I remember the name of that? It's in the National Forest. But anyway, to the point there, I've been getting rocks from North Georgia, and it's around the Sapphire Valley area. There's a lot of stuff around Sapphire Valley and Highlands. Nantahala. It's the Nantahala Outdoor Center. That's where it's at, up in North Carolina, Nantahala. But anyway, so my house stays charged up a lot of the time with different energies, and sometimes, if I say a bad row, and what I mean by that is, like a negative wave or something, a non-positive energy. I'll just have to take everything outside, get it out of the house, get some sage, come through. And not that I rarely have anyone come to visit me anymore. And the folks that do have a very much positive. Oh, you're in Greenville, South Carolina. How about that? Nidale, North Carolina. My granddaughter is in South Carolina. I can't remember where at the moment, but let me put these up before I drop them and break them. I heard them. Ooh, they would not like that. I had to take another gander at the moon, and while doing so, this is one of my crystals that I use to do some serious meditation with. When I want to get like really into it, I feel like I have literally traveled places with this crystal. not physically, but dang near, but I've got some really pretty crystals, and I'm and strong energy, I mean, it's not just that they're pretty, but they're strong. And like a lot of these crystals, of course, I picked out myself. And in crystal lore, if you will, there are. Let's see if I can get it to where it'll show up. Yeah. If I move it just right, you can see stripes across the crystal. Now, there are those who believe like it's on one side, and I turn it to another, and this other side will be relatively smooth with very little ridges on it. Now, in crystal lore, they discuss the fact that the more hash marks across the crystal, the more healing it can be. I don't know. Okay. I've got like 7 or 8 crystal books, that I purchased back in the 80s and the 90s and early 2000s. I go way back with this stuff. In fact, I had a collection of crystals that I literally found as a 22-year-old in the North Georgia mountains, and I kept them just because I liked them, and didn't find out till a couple of years later, as I bought books and things, that I actually had, I had a collection of small crystals like this that I had picked up on my own from doing cave exploring and being in little weird places here and there, and mostly in the mountains in North and South Carolina and Georgia, Tennessee. That area right up in there is my favorite place to go. But it used to be. They really messed it up in many years. I mean, for example, all right, in the national forest, you used to be able to go in there, and I could drive up a backtrack place and set up a camp there and never, ever get bothered by anyone. Now they have policemen in the forest. And because it's state and federal forest, they're looking for anybody with anything, and they will literally come out of the bushes, and somebody had a beer, and you're not supposed to have alcohol in the state forest. It wasn't like they were getting drunk. It was after dark, and they were sitting by the fire, and they went into the back in a little cooler and pulled out a beer, and somebody lit up a joint, and they busted everybody. They took their kids away from them, and they put these folks in prison up there in North Georgia. They're nuts. I have 2 good friends of mine who at separate places up there, they live up there. So they went over to Trey Mountain one time. They went over to Cooper Creek. And every time they went somewhere, regardless of where they went, they were stopped and searched. And you have no rights in the state or national forest. You have no rights. If you think, well, you need a warrant to search my vehicle, you want to bet? And I had a friend of mine who was up there and was going to school in Dahlonega for law enforcement. And she was like, they can't do this to me. We were sitting on the thing, and they came around, and they found a roach in the ashtray and busted us both. She lost her scholarship over a roach in the ashtray that they weren't even smoking. Well, after several people that I know went up there and got busted for the dumbest damn things, I quit going to North Georgia mountains and up in there. I'm like, no. I ain't doing nothing wrong, but I might have a joint. But the thing is that I'm not even going to take any chances to go up there. I mean, I might have a seat under this seat that's been there for 10 years. I'm not going where they're going to strip search me and take my blood. Sorry about that. I've been crystal fossil licking in years, recloaded here from Myrtle Beach because of the pole shift. Yep. Just might be the next ghost. Good move. Knowledge most do not believe what is coming. Well, that's another thing too. And as Brian and I discussed on Milky Way Weekly the other night, there are changes moving and everything like that. But just in the last several days, well, this is only Friday morning, I guess. Wow, ain't that weird? There should have been another day in there. That's weird. But William Mount has discussed it. 2 or 3 other people brought up this idea. So it's like, oh, holy moly. So, but anyway, he doesn't have to get it through. They just need to knock it out of the class 1 or whatever classification is. They just need to bust that thing out. Yeah, most don't believe what's coming. I know that the last few days they just recorded the coldest temperature ever on the South Pole at 144 below or something like that. Some were way out, but the absolute coldest temperature ever. So is the Earth heating or cooling? It's doing a bit of both. It's heating from the inside, but it's getting cold on the outside. We are feeling the slushing. That's exactly right. When I discussed it with Brian the other night, we're absolutely sloshing. And to watch the moon literally in 2 or 3 hours sink from a high position, which I thought was a little weird, but better than sinking all the way. It's way over in the southwest now from my point of view. I mean, I can usually see the moon almost set by a bunch of trees back here in the woods, but I have to go outside and walk out in the yard to see where the moon is setting now. And I didn't have to do that last night or any of this week. In fact, like I said earlier today, it was actually higher than it was last night. So what's going on? And the moon went from like just a little bit cocked, his damn head sideways from here. So I don't know what the heck is going on. Except to know that the earth is wobbling big time, And there was a couple more earthquakes in the middle of America again, which is not really that too surprising. But the fact that it's being discussed again, that there are hot spots under certain states that haven't been there before. And we had a round of thunderstorms today that came out of the north, which is absolutely weird for this time of year. And I could hear the rumbling. I was like, oh, thunderstorm. It usually rolls in from the south, being close to the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. They come in and boil up and happen overhead. This was a line of thunderstorms that was coming up out of the north and headed south. And when I turned on the radar, I was like, where in the hell did that thing come from? It was like, and this time of year, we don't get fronts that come straight from the north-south. Usually they come from the northwest and come at an angle and come across down here. And it picks up Gulf moisture and all this. This thing was picking up moisture from the middle of America and from the northeast of the Atlantic. The moisture was meeting the Gulf air and doing this number, but the air that created the thunderstorms wasn't coming out of the Gulf. And man, I mean, these were some big thunderstorms, heavy duty lightning, not as much rain as I thought, but that's okay. We still got rain. But I couldn't figure out. It was just the strangest for the time of year that it is to have a storm like that come down across us is very, very odd, really odd. And I mean, we'll get that weather if a hurricane goes by up the East Coast, it'll sling moisture back down out of the north. But we expect that because there's a tropical storm in the Atlantic and it's got that twisty thing going on. There's nothing like that going on, but we sure did get these thunderstorms coming through this afternoon. Okay, but in a way that kind of proves. I'll holler at you later, Milky. Bye, Brian. Good morning. Yep, the core is moving around. We don't have a core, but that's okay. It is predicted that the last shift will be instant. Would explain the weather shift too. I keep trying to explain to folks, we do not have a solid core in this earth. It's impossible. It's impossible. It's impossible. I tried to look up your sea level where I live. If you go to Google Earth and down in the right-hand corner, yep, it's hollow. Miss Phoebe, I did a video about this, and Milky Way and I talked about this the other night. Think of what happens when you look into your wash machine when you got it on the spin cycle. When it goes around and around and around, what does centrifugal force do? It forces everything out to the edge. That's what's happening with the earth. And when you, if it's still going around, and it will run when you lift the lid and not go off, but what does it do when it goes around? Everything migrates to the outside. And what does it leave in the middle? It leaves a vortex, a hole. Okay. So this earth's been spinning for 1 billion years. We can't have a solid core. There's no way. It's just physically impossible. And also, when Brian and I brought up, good night, Brian, good morning, that the fact that when an earthquake happens in Hawaii, they can pick it up in Yugoslavia. And if it had a solid core of iron like they discuss, it would absorb that energy, period. So now the outside magma that's going around the earth has picked up speed. And that's due to all the heating and everything, and it has gotten more viscous. When you heat something up, it gets more runny, plain and simple. I was one hand typing, sorry, was eating PB&J. That's good. I live down here where peanuts are king kind of deal down here, especially down in South Georgia. They grow a lot of peanuts around here, especially over towards Donaldsonville. But anyway, but to the point, though, the earth flipping, watching the moon go down tonight is like, man, I don't know. I just don't believe that the earth can just flip upside down. There isn't a body close enough that has that type of mass. Now, they keep talking about Nibiru and Planet X, and I'm sorry, I believe that there are Planet X's out there, but not big enough to flip us over. And if so, we'd see that puppy. I mean, if Jupiter got close to us, we'd be able to see it in the daytime. All right. None of this, oh, I caught it on film, but then it's gone the next day. No, that SOB would be there. Every one of us would see it. Now, what people are taking pictures of are the galactic spaceships. That's what folks are taking pictures of. And we all have to realize that those aren't planets out there. They are occupied spaceships. Okay. And some of them are really big. They're bigger than the moon. They're bigger than the earth. These things are huge. And that's one of the things with this disclosure and everything. I mean, if you look at the LASCO and the Cora, you can see these objects coming through our solar system by the sun. This is not some kind of ookie gookie. It's happening. And this is one of the things that's going to freak people the F out. They're not going to be handling the fact that, but it's the Death Star. Well, maybe death to somebody, but they are positioning these large planetary object bodies in our solar system because they're trying to regulate these huge waves of energy. They're sitting out there like capacitors, so if lightning comes through, it's almost like a lightning rod. Okay. They're adding things to our solar system. So when we haven't had the really big one yet. When the really big one does come through, it's going to be able to dissipate the energy. Instead of only a few objects to take the full brunt, they've got things out there to help dissipate this energy that's coming through. It's not going to stop it. They can't stop it. It's too huge. But what they can do is diffuse the energy. And the Galactics made this decision several years back. Now, I know, what proof do I have? Well, I've seen some weird things in the sky. Personally, with binoculars, I've tried to catch them on camera, on film. I've seen one spaceship get shot out of the sky with a white laser beam by another one. I mean, almost overhead, It's been almost 2 years ago now. I guess it is 2 years now. It's at least a year. But anyway, so I know these things are real because of my personal experience. And, you know, I don't have the picture for them, except I've got pictures of orbs and other types of things to prove my theory on entities that we can't see, the unseen things, the spirit side of things. And if you look at some of the orbs up close, you can see faces in the orbs of who the being is. It's almost like looking through the bottom of a Coke bottle in a way, you know, but it's big enough to where you can see like eyes and face and a nose and features. Unbelievable. So what my belief is, and what I've seen and what I've been told, and the things that I've been told I'm just going to call them galactics, my cosmic brothers, my ISB brothers and sisters, that this stuff has been going on. Well, the folks that I've been listening to are running at above 90% of all the things that I have heard, listened to, and then experienced later on. Now, one of the things that got brought up the other day was the fact that you will tell when control of the earth has changed by looking up at the sky and seeing or not seeing the chemtrails. Now, most of us who are aware of this go outside and look around. And I got to say that in the last 3 weeks, the chemtrails started slowing down to the point where I didn't see any for a couple of days. And then there'd be one or two and one go this way. And I go, oh, well, they're still here. But since they made that remark about almost a week ago now, I've been looking, I haven't seen a chemtrail. And we started going back, as I reported in the other night, about the cumulus clouds and the thunderstorms. They didn't used to be like that. They're coming back. Other folks on other channels are discussing, wow, we had thunderstorms and the clouds look like real thunderstorm clouds, you know? And when you look on the radar, I used to be able to see patterns in the clouds, wave patterns that were real close, and you could measure them all, and obviously you could tell that they were hitting the atmosphere with HAARP. I haven't seen that either, not in the last 3 weeks. So it's like, okay, did these folks lie about this? Same time they said about the chemtrails, the same time they said that they now had the spider off of the earth, the spider web energy keeping us in, and it has now been replaced with a electromagnetical kind of shield with certain frequencies. So any incoming pirate ships to the earth, just it's like hitting a rubber ball, and it gets bounced back out into space. That was about the exact same time that Trump announced the Space Force. Coincidence? We will just have to watch and see. But so anyway, you made a video of the water going down the opposite way here. Oh, Dave, I was whispered that the plane was hijacked. What message did you get? Anyone else get a message? What plane? Miss Phoebe, you need moss from Georgia, like as in Spanish moss, the gray Spanish moss that gives you chiggers. Happens every 100+ years. Yep. Oh, the what? Oh, I was whispered that the plane was hijacked. What message did you get? Which plane, Miss Phoebe? You got to help me out here. There was a plane the other day that got stopped, and they took somebody that they said that they had gotten a message through the radio that it was being hijacked. Yeah, pilot said he pushed the wrong button. What some of the underground folks are saying, one of the posts that came out right away was from a scientist on board the airplane. Wait, hang on. Yeah, he had something to do with some kind of thing. So he was sort of a smart person. And so um, if the radio goes off or has a short, it's sort of like if you're working for a store and you push the panic but or you're a teller at a bank and you hit the um, thing. If they had a power blip, if somebody like hit them with a short EMP burst, and there was and the plane had to reset itself, which they said it came back on, it is highly likely that the avionics of the airplane was shut off and compromised. And I think that was a warning. The mistake that it was being hijacked, etc. I think somebody warned that airplane that that airplane was supposed to come out of the sky. The warning was not that it was going to be hijacked, that it was going to be blown to smithereens with everybody on board. That's what I've had. So it wasn't going to it was going to be hijacked from somebody outside the plane. Okay. Have you ever listened to Field McConnell? I know he's difficult to listen to, but his information's good. And they can drone fly any aircraft that has these avionics on it, and have been able to since before 9/11. So just like Hawaii missile was no missile. Yeah, that wasn't a fake. But I think the excuse is fake, but the hijack is real in the effect that it wasn't going to be an internal hijack. Somebody tried to get control of the airplane before it took off, and the bells and whistles went off, and they stopped the airplane because they didn't taxi it back. They towed the airplane back. So something was up. Okay. But I think the hijacking was going to be from an outside source, like a drone flyer. So I have to go immediately. So I'm going to end this. I have personal business. I love you all. Keep an eye out, and I'll be back. Whoever. God bless you all. Miss Phoebe, Marie, and whoever else is on. Love you. Bye. And in 3, 2, 1, adios, my friends.